My name is Danny Love. I hope that you guys are having a good evening tonight. If you have never watched me on IGTV, I'll give you some background on who I am and what I do. I just recently started recording, doing these videos on spirituality from personal experiences, trauma, and being able to be victorious in coming out of certain situations. I will also speak about things that I feel like the Holy Spirit is leading me to speak about. And right now, when I personally go through something or I've been through something, like I said, I will share stories in hopes that it would help someone else out there that is suffering or going through something that is traumatic, and maybe they don't have an outlet or resources or information on that topic. So tonight what I will be discussing is narcissistic personality disorder. And I know that many of us have heard of this disorder, and usually when we think about narcissism or we've heard about it, it's more in a clinical sense. So what I would like to do is offer you a different point of view. Not only do I believe in the clinical sense, but I also believe what also goes hand in hand is the spiritual side of narcissism. Narcissism, I do believe, is a spirit, and I do believe that it is a demonic spirit. I think it's really important for people to understand and recognize that it is a spirit, because how can you heal and have a positive outcome if you do not know what you are up against? I do have a lot of notes here, so if you see me kind of look over or look down, it's because I am reading from my notes. There's just so much information about this disorder because there's so many different avenues and dynamics to this disorder. I do believe that we do have an overgrowth of a narcissistic spirit in our society today, coming from or stemming from, social media, from reality TV, from vanity. Many of us have the desire to, look beautiful. So we're, really like hooked into cosmetic surgery right now. So there's just so many different things that play into what's going on in our society today. Unfortunately, I do see that there is a huge rise in our youth. So this is something that if you haven't thought about and you have teenage children or young adults, that you really should be thinking about and praying over your kids. I will say I am, again, not a doctor. I am just someone that has had personal experience with narcissistic disorder. I've been in romantic relationships with people who were narcissists, and I've also encountered just people like, in my own friendships with narcissistic people. And I will say that these people are very dangerous and very toxic and abusive. So it is important that you are able to recognize some of these traits, so you are able to protect yourself and your soul, because it is really that serious. From my personal experience, I have been in 4 narcissistic relationships, and I will say that they didn't last very long, because narcissists tend to choose people. They have different targets. So one of those targets that they like to look at, you know what, I'm gonna back up, I'm sorry. Let me give you the definition of, I'm just rambling at this point, but let me give you the definition of what narcissistic personality disorder is. So it's a disorder in which a person has inflated sense of self-importance, is found more commonly in men, and the cause is usually genetic or environmental factors. So it's usually brought on by childhood trauma, abandonment, neglect. Most of the time, that's where it stems from. It can't be cured, and narcissists have a need for admiration. They disregard the feelings of others. They have an inability to handle criticism, and they are attached to entitlement. And it kind of goes back to, in the definition, it says the cause is usually genetic or environmental factors. And it goes back to what I just said previously about the overgrowth of narcissism in our society, with the youth, and with social media and reality TV. This is our environment now, so it makes sense. It's also genetic. It's genetic, and that makes complete sense, because if you have a parent that suffers from narcissism disorder and they are raising children, then they are instilling those traits and values into that child. So that makes total sense. I'm going to go back to what I said in the beginning about narcissism being a spirit. Now, I will say that there are spectrums of narcissism, and I do believe that we all have a little bit of narcissistic traits in us. All of us do. If you care or desire about how people perceive you to be, if you care about your looks and how you groom yourself, I mean, some of that stuff is narcissism. I don't think that it's a bad thing. I think that it's natural, but based on that definition, many of us have a little bit of that in us. So when I say that it is demonic, I am talking about like at the top of the totem pole of narcissism. If you think about the story of Satan, Lucifer, and God, how that looked, we've all heard, you don't have to be a spiritual person or know the Bible to have heard Satan comes to steal, kill, and destroy, which is the truth. It's the same with someone who is a narcissist. They come to steal your resources, to puff themselves up. They will kill your spirit by devaluing you and diminishing your self-esteem. And then they will also try and destroy your reputation and name if you try to expose them. It's the same thing as with what Satan does. He does not like the light. He does not like to be exposed. So he will try to ruin you. I don't know if I said this in the beginning of the video, but because there is so much information and so much to talk about, I probably will be taking some breaks. So this video will be done in a couple of clips, excuse me. So as I mentioned before, the onset of narcissism is trauma, usually as a child. So they will try to fill voids with drugs, sex, attention, and manipulation. Manipulation is huge with narcissists and how they become so successful and with their victims or their source supply is what one of the, I guess, clinical terms would be. They also allow demonic entities to give them a false rescue. So they're never really truly happy. So they will create these fake narratives and falsehoods in order to, feed off of. So there are certain targets that narcissists will go after. There is the empath. Someone who is an empath is sensitive. They are very compassionate people to others, so much that whatever someone is going through, they will take on that person's problems. So that is someone who is very appealing to a narcissist. Narcissists are also attracted to the shiny things. They are attracted and obsessed with perfection. So if you are someone who is successful, attractive, you are maybe known in the community, you are a target. So you really have to be careful. I mentioned before that I have my own personal experiences, and I noticed that as I became more successful with careers, if you don't know this about me, but I've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years and have been, thankfully, God bless. He's blessed me with his favors. So like I've had some very successful businesses, and I've noticed since becoming more successful and then being kind of in the public eye, if you will, with my background in fashion, I noticed that I was really targeted by narcissists. Now, I will say that being in these relationships, they did not last long, because usually they tend to go for people who are insecure and kind of weak-willed, and that's something that I am not. I definitely am an empath. So, you know, I am very compassionate and generous, and just overall, I really am a caring person, and I care about people. So that is another reason why they target me. But I do recognize when something is off and I'm being mistreated, or, you know, anything like that, I will cut it off quick. And if you are that type of person, this is dangerous. You are dangerous, because they do not like to be challenged or exposed. And when that happens, watch out. We'll talk about that as well. So with narcissists, there is a grooming process. We talked about, you know, who the target is. What they will do is they will actually study you. They are so premeditated. Like, they will study you. They want to find out like what your characteristics are. They want to find out how you respond to things. They want to know what your interests are, because what they are trying to do is they are trying to approach you in a way of making you feel that you are the best thing in the world. They want to make you fall in love with them. So they will pull out all the stops when you first meet someone. And it goes the same in personal relationships, like friendships, same thing. They're attracted to the same things, and they will try to woo you during this process. So with a romantic relationship, when it tends to happen more in romantic relationships, they will seek you out. They will groom you. They call it love bombing. So they will love bomb you. They will do all of the right things. They will say all of the right things. They will make you feel like you are on the top of the world. They will love you to death. But let me just say, it's all fake. It's all a game. They do not have the ability to love, to show empathy or sympathy. They have no feelings. They will make you feel that way, but it's all, again, false. It's a lie. So during that process, they will, like I said, they will do these things to get you. And then that is how they have control over you. Once that happens, and it could be a period of months, or it could be years. It just really depends on what they are getting from you. If they are attracted to you, they are attracted to you for a reason. There is something that they want from you. They usually seek out people. I'll say, for instance, with my experiences with the men that were in my past, they sought me out for my success. And they were attracted to me because they wanted what I had. So what they would do is they would come after me and, like really woo me and pursue me. And then once that happened, it's like they pull the rug from underneath you. They begin to devalue you. They start to hoover you. And what that means is they suck you dry. They will suck your spirit out in order to have control over you. And they also have other sources of other sources of supply. So when you think that you are the only one, oh, no, boo-boo. What they will do is, while you're still with them, if they have no use for you anymore, or if they are getting the sense that you are going to challenge them and maybe discard them, they will begin to look for another supply source without your knowledge while they're in the relationship. So if something happens or they have no use and they want to discard you, then they will pick up that new power source, and they become the primary source, and then you're gone. Oh, I'm trying to click this off.